I'd like to call the iBisbee Committee to order. Today is Wednesday, July 17, 2019. Those in attendance are Stanley Stern, Denise Loth, Rod Page, Kathy Snowden, Carrie Gustafson, Stephanie Peavy is excused. David Smith as council liaison was with us, and Nina Williams as staff liaison is with us. I'm going to ask you to call the public. I see no one there. We have no minutes to approve, so I want to move on to the agenda. I'm going to switch item 1 and item 2.
Mr. Chair, if you would identify the guests, because this is telephone.
Oh, I'm sorry, certainly. We have with us Carrie Bagley, the finance director of the city of Bisbee. We have Jen Luria with us, and your associate's name?
Bridget Shanahan.
Bridget Shanahan. Bridget.
Shanahan.
Bridget Shanahan is with us to talk about marketing. I want to move on and change our order slightly and first discuss the Airbnb question, Carrie, and then move to the advertising budgets, because then it works with what we're doing today. So I turn the chair over to you.
Okay, so the question I think you had was just whether or not we're able to identify.
Whether we're able to identify, how do we collect the money?
Okay.
How does it work, I guess is the first question.
So the state of Arizona collects all the taxes for Bisbee. Airbnbs are required to pay their taxes to the state, and then we can get a report from the state of everybody that pays taxes, but for Airbnbs, it doesn't break them down. It just says Airbnb and then, you know, the main company's address. It doesn't break down who all the different...
So you get a lump sum payment?
It's not a lump sum payment. It's multiple payments. It's like multiple lines on the report, but they all say Airbnb, so there's no way to tell who the money's coming from.
Is there a way we could ask to include, for them to include the TBT number on there? Because they have to collect it, so it's there.
Yeah, I can check with
That would really help us monitor this.
And do you get a number of items when you get the report? Is it pretty voluminous?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably about 8,000 lines long, but it's on an Excel sheet, so you can just sort it any way you need to. So it's easy to sort.
You can sort by Airbnbs. And how long has that been in existence, so we're getting money from them?
I've only noticed it probably over the last year that it started showing the Airbnbs on there.
Should have been written before then.
Well, they didn't start their program.
Airbnb, the company,
Right.
has been collecting taxes for years. VRBO and something, just, there was legislation requiring that they collect it. So we should have been receiving taxes from the Airbnb brand people.
Yeah. I mean, I have all those reports saved, so I can go back and look to see when it started. That was just a guess.
But do you see 3 companies on there remitting to the state?
I haven't looked for the others. I've only, Airbnb's at the top of the list,
Sure.
so I haven't looked at the others.
Sure. And then that comes to you. Now, do we know, does your office know who the Airbnb properties are or what the properties are?
No, it just says Airbnb and then it has the main address for
The company.
the company.
So we don't have a list of what the Airbnbs are.
No.
Do we charge the Airbnbs as commercial properties?
No, they're charged as regular residential, and then if we know that there's multiple units, they're charged for multiple units, just like a duplex or anything like that. So, but it's under the, not a commercial rate, but a residential rate.
Okay. Any other questions on the Airbnb and the other 2 companies?
Can I comment
Sure.
on the tax thing? Because I've been on the phone today. I'm the one that brought this horrible issue up.
It's a fair issue.
I talked to the assessor's office, and I learned something from them, and you probably know this already, but for residential properties, if it's your primary residence, it's your primary residence, and you get a tax reduction of state aid So you get on top of whatever you're already paying, you get an additional reduction. However, if you're a non-primary residence, you don't get that reduction. And then some other stuff I've been reading says that the city, even though we don't have a lot of regulatory problems, the city can choose to zone these properties differently. So we could create another zone, and it would be taxed differently than residential. Because my big beef is, these people are competing with our hotels, they're paying residential rates, they're not paying commercial sewer and garbage, they're not paying commercial taxes, and they're competing with people who have to do all of those things. And they don't have to pay for signage because they're not under the sign law, they're looked at as realtors. So they've got all these advantages. Most of them are from out of town, and most of our lodge owners are in town. And we've got all these people, and we're losing rentals. We have no rentals left in Old Bisbee. You can also restrict how many per block. There's all sorts of things we can do. They're just not, and most of them have to do with zoning.
Well, if we believe Fred Miller's report, there's about 86 of them.
I've heard 250, so I don't know. Remember I told you the only way you can tell how many there are is to go in and pick a date, and then look at how many come up available for that date. But some may be booked, you know, I mean, Pride books every June for the next year,
But
so.
Carrie, your list that you get, when it goes Airbnb, will it then be the total for that month collected from that? Or is it each time someone pays taxes? You know?
Well, it's a monthly report, but, you know, sometimes people's payments are late, so like a May payment might not even show up until July or, so it's.
If you counted how many you got, would that give us the first indication of roughly how many
I
we
don't
have?
think
No,
so.
it would just tell
Yeah,
us the
because I think
average
they do lump them somewhat, because, I mean, I would say last time I looked under Airbnb, there was maybe 20, and there's probably more than that.
Oh, I mean, I know there's a lot more than that.
Yeah, so they might be lumping up when the payments are coming into them.
Yeah,
David?
if an owner has 7 Airbnbs, it's gonna come under one for those 7 separate properties. And remember that there's also Airbnbs that we know nothing about because they're off the books, lots of them.
But now it's hard if you want to advertise anywhere.
If you want to advertise,
Yeah.
but they have ways of word of mouth and things like that. And as you know, they have an incredibly strong lobby that is absolutely cutting our legs off.
But they're
and not-
introducing more legislation now, David. 'Cause
So
they're getting
far.
it, yeah.
This legislative year will tell
Right.
whether that's going to go away again or not, whether the Mason
It looks
Group
like they're
gets-
getting a lot of complaints. I mean, it looks like that's what pushed them to do the thing with VRBO and HomeAway,
Right.
you know, so.
David, do you think that this is worth pursuing with the finance department?
Well, yes, but unfortunately, it breaks down to start to say manpower, pardon me, Jerry. A woman power, and you say the situation where we do not have the resources available to track this down. And this, I mean, it's incredible, but it's just the facts. I've been looking at this. I will be happy to work with this committee and figure out anything that we can that isn't going to require us hiring at least one more person to do just that.
Do you get like the parcel number or anything on your report? Anything identifiable? What other data fields are on there?
No, well, there's lots of data fields, but not person numbers, addresses.
That would be
But,
good,
yeah, I'd
because we
have
could
to
rule out dues.
Double check and see, because I know there's different address fields, so I don't know if.
Carrie, why don't we do this? Why don't you check the report? And then the second thing, is there a group that you can call at the state or someplace where we would like to see it, where we can see if we can get more of a delineation, who's paying
Yeah.
these taxes?
Yeah, the city's unit, they're helpful with that, so. And also the county assessor's list, does code like rentals versus, you know.
Right, but you have to have the
rentals.
parcel number for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the assessor's list, they send us a list, every quarter with all of the city of Bisbee parcels on
But
it.
are-
And then they're coded by rentals or, you know, commercial, things like that.
But they're on parcel number,
Mhm.
but they have the address too.
Mhm. Yeah, and the name of the property.
Is it on
owner.
is it electronic, like an Excel
It's an
spreadsheet?
Excel.
Carrie, let me suggest this. Would you look a little deeper into this? You know, when we have our next meeting, either send us an email or something of what you found.
I just think we're losing money.
Because obviously, there's money that's not coming into the city, but is there enough money that you hire another person, which I kind of doubt?
I think if somebody already has a list of Airbnbs in the city,
You don't.
Nobody does.
nobody knows. Because, I mean, I think that's the most time-consuming part, is trying to do the research, going on Craigslist and wherever else, and trying to find all these places.
I think we start with the three main places, and we see what, or even one of them, and my concern is, some of these people may be paying as if it's their primary residence, and they're not. They may be collecting a 50% discount in a historic district, and they shouldn't be able to do that. And if that in fact is true, we could pay for a clerk for 2 weeks and still put $100,000 in the bank at the end of the year. I'm willing to work on this, because I think it's money left on the table.
Well, what I would like to see, Mr. Chair, is why can't this committee generate a list of Airbnbs? You have the same.
Well, she's got a list.
You
Why
have,
would we-
no, she has a list that the state sends her.
Right, see, we.
Why can't this committee go to the sources you have, such
We
as
started all them.
We have to just,
Craigslist or whatever?
we just
Yeah.
have to sit
It's
there and
just
look at
manpower.
every
We just
single
sit
one,
right
and there's
through it.
no parcel number on it.
No.
And
But it has
Wait,
addresses.
wait,
No,
wait,
it
wait,
doesn't.
wait, calm down. Everybody. Denise, this is your world. Is there a way to find out what the Airbnbs are?
Well, it's just going on each of the sites, like Kathy was saying, and you just look it up and see where they're located. You
but
go
not all of them
Bisbee, and
get
then,
addresses.
right, they
Then you
won't.
don't get an address, you don't get a parcel
But
number.
I'm reading this paper, this one right here, and it says identification of the homeowner is not public knowledge. It says the city, let's see, is, that info is proprietary.
You will not be able to get that.
Right, so it's not information that's allowed for us to see.
No.
Okay, let me wrap this up this way. One, there's obviously income that's getting lost. First thing, Carrie, would you check and see what you can get and what you have? And let us know, send an email to us via 9. That's probably the easiest way to do it. And then we'll take it up at our next meeting, and we'll see if we can't somehow sort this out. As I understand, even the addresses are not listed on the Airbnb site. So,
I know where this one is.
But yeah, we probably do.
I mean,
That's how we have to.
so it's difficult. And then we'll see if the committee can go further, but let's take the first step with you. I'd like to move on to the next item because
Mr. Chairman?
this is key,
I'm
yes.
sorry, point of order.
Sure.
There hasn't been any discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like to discuss?
Yes.
I'm sorry, absolutely.
I'd like to say that I completely and totally disagree with the direction of this discussion, because we haven't discussed the other side. So you say we're losing money, but how much money have we gained? How much money do we gain every week that we have 500 people in town, and where we didn't before because we didn't have hotel
But
rooms?
the hotels are filling up anymore.
My occupancy in my hotel has increased.
But you don't have
Over the
that
last
many
3
rooms,
years,
and
I
you
have
have a really
6.
sweet little
I
hotel.
have 6.
Wait, one at a time.
So revenues in our businesses, all 3 of them, have increased over the last 5 years, incrementally. And we would, and I could get a lot of people in this room to agree with me, believe that it's because of Airbnbs that we've seen this increase. Not, and to go after Airbnbs and say, okay, well, we're not getting our fair share. I totally agree that we should be getting the bed tax. No problem there. But the economy of Airbnbs is not the economy of a municipality. If you'd like to impose all of the fees and all of the onerous ordinances
You're
on
suggesting it'd be
Airbnbs.
punitive.
Yes, it'd be punitive,
But-
because you don't have, a person, when they come to invest in a property in Old Bisbee, they invest in it knowing that they're gonna get a return on the investment.
Right.
Correct? Okay, so if you don't plan on living in the home full-time, Airbnb is an option to get your return on investment. If, as that thing that Fred sent out implies, we want to start being arbitrary and capricious with application of ordinances only to Airbnb.
That's not what I'm suggesting, Ron.
No, I understand, but I've read all of the information, and we can go many, many different ways on this. I totally agree that we need to get as much money as we can that is due from anyone who is
Don't
operating.
you think they should be under the, you have to pay for
Kathy.
6 toilets, whether anybody
Kathy.
uses them or not, every
Correct,
month.
correct. But
They're
that's,
not doing that.
but I entered into that agreement when I purchased commercial property in the commercial district at a great
I
location.
think you're one of the only lodging people that feels that way.
I've never heard, and I'm trying to be as open-minded as I can with this, I'd really like to hear from other lodging people in town who feel as you do. And I'd like to see where Airbnbs are having an impact on the neighborhoods, where they're a negative impact on the
Well,
neighborhoods.
first we need a list.
And then I'd like to see some sort of analysis on, with all these Airbnbs, what is the impact on a week, on a weekend, which is really what we want. We really don't want people here Monday through Friday, we just want them weekends, so we can enjoy our weekdays. Okay, that's.
I'd rather make money.
I love to make money every day, but our infrastructure is not set up in a way immediately to accommodate that. So I'm basically, as part of this discussion, I'd just like to be on the other side and say, I agree with you to the point where we collect as much money as due us, but at the same time, we have to be very careful as to not be punitive to these people who have come to the town to the tune of 90 different Airbnbs. They've renovated these homes, they've fixed them up, and they provide them to a marketplace that is worldwide, that is totally worldwide right now. So if we're in the discussion, I'd like to make sure that we have both sides here. and not
I think
send
the
staff
first
down
part, if
rabbit
I
hole.
may, is to gather the information that we've asked from Carrie. The last thing I want to do is turn off tourism in town. So we have to look at it. Your points are well taken. I think that the first thing is, let's see what information we can get.
And also, they're taking up parking.
Okay.
And you can regulate that with Airbnbs.
Kathy, Carrie, will you do that and then send us an email? And then we'll bring this back for further discussion. Thank you. I want to move on to item 2 because now we're getting into the
Carrie,
Can I have a
tourism.
question discussion?
Sure.
Would it be difficult to say, apparently there's been a large expansion recently in Airbnbs, just to look at the trend over the last 5 years, if you have that reporting, has what we've collected expanded as well?
She says she's only got a year's worth or so.
No.
she didn't.
Come on,
Yeah,
Kathy.
no, I have the bed tax that's broken down monthly for the past several years.
But is it just Airbnbs?
No, this is
See?
for all lodging, all, yeah.
Yeah, she
But I
doesn't
mean, you
have
could
it.
tell overall, maybe it's going up, I don't know.
But
The parking's
hang
off.
on, Kathy. Take a look at the reports and then let us know, and then we'll bring it up at the next meeting. Rob made some good points. And the thing we want to do is see how do we collect bed tax from all these people? How do we see if it's possible to put them under a commercial arena so they're paying proper sewage? And if not, and how difficult is this? So the first step is for you to take a look and then let us know, and then we'll move forward. Are there any other questions on this topic?
Well, if we're looking for information, a second step could be, I'm assuming that paying the taxes, you're self-regulated? I mean, you decide whether you're gonna say you have an Airbnb or not to pay the taxes.
That's a problem.
Okay, but if you can't get proprietary information, if you can't get, what kind of information can you get where you can determine that from, not from the financial side, but from the listing side?
Because I've been hearing, you can't get the owner information, you can't get the
Well,
location.
we haven't really asked for that detailed information. It's never been asked for. And as I said, I would also contact the 3 Airbnb the 3 short-term rental places and ask each one if they could send us a download. Maybe one of them will, maybe they won't, you know.
We cannot be the only city to be asking for this.
No, I've got data on Glendale and all these other, and they've done things. The other thing you can do is you can limit parking. You can say you are required to have, and the parking this year was the worst it's ever been downtown. There were cars out to the pit, and it wasn't the stair climb. And I swear it's the Airbnbs. You can have 2 cars at each Airbnb. That's 180 extra cars,
Okay,
you know?
Kathy, what we're gonna do, let's take our first steps, and then we'll
I think
find
it's a
out, and we'll
problem.
take them step at a time. We can't be the only city to ask for
We're
this.
not.
And there are a lot of cities that are asking, and they may be able to accommodate. So Carrie, the ball's in your court.
Right, and I just wanted to make sure that the committee understands that the data she's gonna give you is the least of the issue. We don't
Yes.
know how many. All we can do is give you what data that we have and that she's allowed to
That's a start.
put out.
Would
So I
it-
just didn't want you
Yeah.
to,
No, I'm not expecting a real download.
Would it be possible, though, for her to contact one of those companies and just see if they work with the city at all? One of the rental companies?
oh, sure, eh?
I mean,
Carrie's gonna do that.
because they've
Carrie's-
got all that data on their
Carrie's
computer,
gonna see
you
what,
know?
again, we're not the only city to ask for this. So Carrie, the ball's in your court. I wanna move on to item 2, because this focus of this committee meeting today is gonna be on tourism, and it's gonna be rather direct. In the first place, we have to start with how much money there is and how it's allocated. And would you please take us through so we can become aware?
Sure. So, the amount budgeted for the visitor center director, the salary is $58,240 plus $19,280 for benefits. And then there's another $11,362 budgeted for the part-time person. 11,362. That's a part-time person at $11 an hour at 19 hours a week. And then 13,000 for the mining museum employee.
the shared
is
employee.
budgeted, shared employee. And that account line also includes, since it's under contract services, it also includes a Xerox, which is
Is that
$55
Brenda?
a month.
She's contract? Oh,
Well, no, what it
Well-
is, we have a memorandum of, she is an employee of the museum, we have a memorandum of understanding with the city that we share her salary.
Right.
She's a contract employee for purposes of the city. We do not pay ERDs.
So she
We pay-
doesn't
We
get
pay
any
the
benefits.
museum a flat fee.
Okay, and she doesn't get benefits
How
from...
much money,
We give her some.
let me start at the top. You gave us the budget. How much money are we dealing with at this point?
Total? For the
Total.
whole department, $164,905.
Okay, so 164,900. Of that, you obligated in your budget 77,000 for the directors, which we're not gonna do,
No,
Hey.
58. 50.
No, plus-
Oh,
plus
okay, with
fringe.
benefits, yeah.
plus fringe. And then 11,000 for a part-time employee. So
And
that's,
13,000.
That's what added,
The shared employee.
what's the 164?
That's
The
the
total budget.
Total budget.
For, okay, that includes advertising and everything.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
that's the lump sum we're working with. So then we're going to 77,000, 89,000, and 13,000. So roughly $100,000 of that is allocated on your budget for personnel and fringe, right?
Mhm.
Rough, I'm using round figures now. Then that leaves 65,000, or $65,000 for advertising. And if we don't fill the director's salary, what we use for contracting with a marketing person, That may free up a little bit more money, but we're really talking, jump in, Carrie, if I'm wrong. We're really talking roughly 65,000 for advertising and other related expenses. Is that right?
Right, that sounds right.
Jen, can we deal with 65,000? Is that enough?
It's never enough.
Never.
But we could be creative with it. So that's what's gonna have to happen
It
this
happens
year.
every year.
So,
But Carrie, are we right with the figures?
Yeah, I would say that's right. I mean, because of the cost to actually run the visitor center, there really isn't any. The electric and all the utilities are paid by the Queen Line, so, really, there's only a little bit of office supplies and the rest is for, advertising and travel and things like that. Or,
Which is the $65,000.
some printing still in there.
yeah, there's some printing in there. 3,000 for printing. 1,000 for equipment and furniture, which never gets used.
So the 65,000 is a good figure. Okay. And any questions while we have Carrie here on how much money is available?
So we've got money. That's amazing. Well,
I mean, I think the line item specifically for advertising is what, 33,000? Where last year we had 75,000 just for advertising, not for pay, not, that's what, it's,
But the Queen Mine used to get money for advertising, they're no longer doing
they
that.
still,
what?
that's not.
They did-
16,000.
For,
No,
was the
No,
last
it's
thing
not
they
in the
did?
budget, I didn't see it in the budget, so they're doing their own marketing.
that's correct.
Oh.
I mean,
And of that 33,000,
we submitted.
28 goes immediately to,
Maybe, it hasn't been approved yet. But yes, possibly 28,000 to be used.
But Doug can still
we
work.
assume 28 is going to go to AOT.
Okay, so
Yes.
So that means
69, 28's gone?
No, 28,000
Of the 33.
of the 33.
28 went to AOT.
You just lost me.
We've only got $5,000 left.
Wait.
For the specific advertising line item?
Carrie, the 69,000, the $100,000, for the $69,000, did that include the advertising?
Well, yes, 33,000 for advertising is in there.
Is in that 69 figure? Okay. 65,000 figure. And we spent 28 of it?
We submitted to spend 28.
Okay.
On your budget, if you save money, you say in the personnel side, can it be allocated to
Yes.
non-personnel?
Yeah, as long as the.
Bottom line, for something.
No, what we care about is the bottom line.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have huge shifts, then you probably have to go to council.
Huge being over,
Huge being if you decided we're doing away with the personnel, putting it all in advertising, as an example,
Okay.
then it would have to go to council.
and then the staff at the Queen Mine Tour is going to be doing their own advertising.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have 37,000 left after the 28,000 out. Do you agree?
Well, I guess, I mean, there's like, I don't know, I don't have a calculator with me, but, so like, okay, so 14,000 of that is the internal services where money is transferred to the general fund for the things that the general fund does for all the departments, so that's kind of an amount there
That
that's.
comes out of the 37?
And the 69.
That comes out of the 37. So that's 14,000 more that comes out?
And that's what, utilities and cleaning and all that at the Queen Mine?
Oh, no,
No, it's
that's
like
for
accounting.
payroll, IT.
Yeah, invoice processing.
Yeah.
So we have $23,000 left.
That's,
Okay.
oh,
So something-
Jen, it's dissipating by the minute here.
I know.
I mean,
It's the first of the year.
that's based on, a reduction of the salary expense, right?
And then with the Queen Mine out, and they have a much bigger staffing thing, would that number you gave, how much, 14,000 a year? Would that go down, actually, in real use?
Well, it's budgeted, so that's already set to, everybody's budget is set for,
And what was it last year, do you know that?
17,000.
Carrie, at one point, you were gonna find out about whether we even needed to have the Queen Mine Tour Visitor Center. We kept it because of the literature.
No, that's a discussion for later.
That's totally a discussion. Let's stay out of
The budget, let's just say, Kathy, I understand.
It makes a difference as far as staffing.
No,
is why it's-
it makes no difference
No?
right now because that is set through the budget. So right now, the council, as a matter of fact, if the council had a vote right now, it would be my guess that they would attempt to take away the employee from the museum.
Well,
That's a discussion for another time.
Yeah, wait, we'll stay on this thing. Carrie, you agree with my figures of 23,000 left? You're
At
dealing with
this
the
point, you could
bank,
just say, sure.
you're dealing with the banker here.
Yeah,
where's the
I don't
rest?
know, I'd rather crunch the.
You'd rather crunch your own numbers.
Yeah, so I don't know what kind of salary we're looking at now for a visitor center manager versus what's budgeted. If it's 58 budgeted,
I
I
got
don't
it.
know if it's.
Actually, it's 77,000 we budgeted.
Right, but if you're just looking at just the salary, not the benefits, 58,000 for the salary, I don't know what salary
Right.
you're
They
looking
picked
at.
But it will reduce as you go.
So,
I saw they posted the position at 31.
31,
Yeah.
so then if it is gonna be that much lower, then I would say, yeah, you would have that much extra work there.
We're attempting at bringing in more in the low 30s, so there would be quite a difference because of a change in job duties.
So that would take it down to 39,000, using a 30% figure for fringe.
Okay, so,
But that,
yeah.
yeah.
Jen, are you tracking this as we go? Because this is what you're gonna end up dealing with. Okay.
Yeah, I
Carrie,
want to, since this is televised, and I apologize, Mr. Chair, but since this is televised, I need to, in the comments, I need to make very clear that Jen, that contract has not been provided to Jen and Bridget. They will be asked to submit a proposal which they have, and we will be soliciting other proposals as required. So I just want to make sure that it's understood that at this, as of right now, Jen and Bridget are not under contract with the city for this position.
okay.
Thank you.
But as I look at it, the city's gonna have somewhere around $40,000 to spend after advertising. Jen, although you're not contracted, I want to ask a question. Who makes up the ads? Explain how the advertising thing for the 28,000 works. What is that?
Well, typically, what's used for the advertising funds is just purchasing the ad space, whether it's a print ad, a digital ad, radio spot. That's what the advertising funds have been used for. And then previously, a contract service line item would be then somebody would create that ad. That's where they were paid from that line item.
So the 28,000 is a placeholder.
Yes.
Okay.
Roll the 33,000.
The 28,000 to
AOT.
AOT, that's a different.
That's a placeholder.
It's all ad buys, yes.
They have a long list, and you select from that list, and they match.
It was a way for us to double our money on advertising through that program.
Okay,
So they match it.
so then we have to pay for the creation of the ads.
Yes.
That's where we need somebody who knows what to do.
Tell us if, because, and I understand the curtailment here, but give us an idea of what you think the marketing should look like for the city.
Mr. Stern, that's not on the agenda.
That's the next,
On that,
Okay.
What
I
your
have to
discussions
stick-
is not on
never
there.
mind. I got an item. Are there any more questions of Carrie Bagley while she's here?
Drive safe, Gary.
Carrie, thank you very much.
Sure, thanks, and I'll get those numbers for you.
Don't go through any flooded ditches.
Thanks, Gary.
Well, we had 2 mattresses at the bottom of the box today.
Oh,
boy.
Probably a couple people riding it down.
I want to move to item 3, which is discussion of tourism marketing program. Jen, I realize that you're not engaged by the city, but if you had to set a tour marketing program for the city, what would you do for this coming year?
What, I mean, using the Arizona Office of Tourism's marketing program that they've already set up,
Yes.
the bulk of it was, the selections were chosen based on what I thought, and alone I thought would be great for the city going forward this fiscal year. So based on those, we've kind of plotted out some things. I'm reluctant to talk about a lot of it because I'm not hired yet as a contract worker, to talk about a campaign that we've, brainstormed, so. But bottom line is, these selections have been made, and that is kind of carrying the marketing program going forward this year.
And give us a feel for what we put placeholders on.
Yeah, so it's primarily digital. So this would be digital banner ads, this would be click-throughs on mobile phone through azcentral.com. There's a whole list here that we've got, that we submitted. Nothing's been solidified yet because they've got parameters. Let's say 3 other cities didn't pick that specific TripAdvisor campaign, then none of us get it. So there'll be flexibility within this cooperative that was submitted. We don't have final answers yet. So in fact, that we might have $10,000 not used that goes back into the general advertising fund. So this is just, has been placeholders. That helps to, but since the budget, the advertising budget was so limited for this year, I felt like, and so Alona as well, and Mr. Pocken, that using this program gave us the most for our money. But then there's always opportunities that come up throughout the year, special ad rates, combination ads with other businesses that we can really utilize with some leftover funds. So that would be, if we put a proposal together, those things get factored in.
So if you have $40,000, how much goes, roughly what percentage of that goes to the actual creation of the ads?
Well, if I only had 40,000, well, it depends. What if it's print ads, digital ads? It all depends because they all take different amounts of time to do. Right. So just, I'm not sure how to answer some of this because I'm not quite chosen for.
Some of this is putting Jen in a bind because they have a proposal.
Very good.
And it's not fair, it's proprietary. And it's
I
it's not
understand.
fair.
I get it.
So I guess when I was talking to Mr. Pocken, he had asked why I wouldn't take my previous position back. And I said, well, there's lots of things. But generally, bottom line, I just wanted to creative for this, for any company, and I've set myself up that way now. And so we thought, wow, let's revisit kind of the way this can be approached again. And so then based on that, he said, put together a scope of work. And with that in mind, of course, I took it 100 miles down the road and said, hey, my team, let's talk about what our scope of work would include. So that's part of our proposal that we're going to resubmit, that will go to council. And so within that, though, we broke down what we think throughout the year based on the digital ads and other advertising avenues, what we would help with through our marketing plan. But not a specific campaign yet. We haven't, that's not up for discussion yet.
Yeah, I don't want to get into your proposal because that's unfair, and I understand that.
So, we have a discussion yet?
Yes.
So as I'm understanding this, it's a different way of looking at how we have previously done marketing for the city. Instead of through everything through one city employee, we go out and we're splitting off maybe contracts and perhaps employees.
Basically, if I may, basically, we are bifurcating the position at the Queen Mine Tour. That person will be in charge of the visitor center at the Queen Mine Tour. And contract labor will be in charge of our advertising. It's going to be that simple.
Okay.
Okay, the Queen Mine Tour will not be involved in advertising. Whoever receives the contract will do all of the advertising. Does that make sense?
And they'll also do working with writers and things like that.
Oh, yeah, well, that's
The
all,
whole
we're
gamut.
lumping that all together.
The whole gamut of
Advertising, tourism, yes,
Of marketing.
right. And
Who's
so,
working with travel writers and stuff? Okay.
Well, not really,
The
because they haven't
contract.
signed a contract.
The contract,
Yes.
position,
Yes.
the contract marketing now, okay.
They're doing all the higher level stuff, and then the other job's gonna be more of a homebound clerical position.
right, the other stuff is gonna be like
Website.
Alona is doing right now,
Which I don't
like
have
what
any
she
idea
used to
what it
do,
is.
and not what Jen was doing when she was there.
So you guys take over
She
the
was doing
website too?
both.
Yeah, will you update the website, please? Let them,
We
give
get
it some money.
Okay, okay.
Let's keep this.
So, Jen, I think we have this conversation later after selection is made of the contractor. I think that's the only fair way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because we are in an open meeting and I just don't wanna have you disclose anything at this point. So then, what I'd like to do is move on then in our discussion unless there's others who have comments. I thought we were gonna have a rather robust conversation on tourism, but it has been squelched.
Jen's here.
For now.
For now, right, after the contract's been let, then we'll revisit it. I want to go on to a discussion, item 4, discussion of the Madden proposal. I know that we've all received copies of the Madden proposal. The genesis of this was a meeting at Sloan Boucher's home several months ago, when he had the president of Madden and a member of their staff present. And what they were doing was talking about, one, Mr. Boucher is going to be putting a number of ads in, naming Bisbee as an art destination. And those are gonna go into publications that are run by Madden. And the other part of this was, could Madden work with the city? And Rob Page asked for a proposal from Madden at that meeting, and this is what ensued and why we have a proposal from them. And I'm gonna presume that everybody's had a chance to read this. And my own feeling was, when we got back to page 24, which was our pricing, it almost became like a buffet. These are things that they could offer for us to do, and it's almost a pick and choose. And I wondered if anybody else got that impression as they
I
read
have
it.
a question.
Yes, Carrie?
It seems that the city council has already made a decision to go in one direction, and this proposal takes another completely different direction. So why are we discussing it?
Because I think it's only fair, since they submitted it to us, that I guess the part that I saw that may be relative, and Jen, I need your help there, and that's on videos. Are we gonna, would videos be used by the city?
Again, it was getting creative with things to see if maybe those that have videos available that we could use, and we're not paying to recreate the video. It's things like that going into this advertising year.
Got it,
Yeah,
got it. So that's an expense
yeah.
that we try to steer around. Rob, what did you think?
Actually, I need to read it some more. I don't think I got it.
You know what?
I didn't get it in time for this meeting. I'm sorry.
Okay, you haven't had a chance to read it.
No.
Kathy, did you have any comments?
I read it. I like having somebody boots on the ground.
That's
You know,
our contract
that's-
worker.
You know, I think you pay a lot more when you work remotely with somebody. If they have to come down, you have to pay them, you have to put them in a hotel and blah, 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 and they don't know Bisbee as well. So, I mean, I think maybe we could use them at some point, once we hire the group that's gonna do it. They may wanna call on them to help with A, B, or C, you know, as just a consulting type thing, but I'd really like to see it be somebody who knows Bisbee.
Well,
It's time.
whoever the marketeers are selected, then I think we give them the Madden proposal, and if they want to contact Madden, they can,
Yeah.
and begin to explore with Madden what they can do and what the cost would be. But as I look at it, we're really confined for about $40,000, so, I mean, I think my numbers were correct, and, that's tough. Any comments, Denise, do you have a comment on the Madden contract?
I didn't read all of it, but I am looking at this page that you recommended.
Yeah, 24.
Yeah,
24.
right, page 24. And yeah, it's a lot of money. I'd rather
24
see-
becomes like the buffet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's
So-
things like 20,000 in there for branding, we've already done that.
Right.
We've already branded it,
Yeah,
and
it's
we,
like they didn't do their diligence, they just kind of wrote a proposal, I think.
yes,
Am I allowed to
Jen.
make a comment? I just want to say Mad Media has been a great partner for the city of Bisbee and for local merchants, and they're wonderful to work with. So regardless, I think they'll be a great asset and a resource.
They're doing a
Excellent.
lot of advertising this year.
Excellent. I can report that Sloan Boucher has taken on a number of ads in their Tucson magazine, listing Bisbee as an art destination and promoting it as an art destination, which will be helpful.
And our merchants area on Subway Underground, we all took out a page as well.
Yeah, I
As
took
additional
out an
listings.
ad.
So we've got great
So-
Bisbee representation in there for this year.
Any other comments on the Madden contract? So I want to move on then to item number 5, which is the Slack beta test. Rob, you want to speak to that?
Well, we have beta tested this thing to death. And I'm fairly confident that barring any great event that requires participation by all the merchants, that the merchants have not chosen Slack as their primary means of communication. So I think it's time to move on to something else.
Okay, so we did a beta test, and we found, that was our conclusion of the beta test, that the merchants were not ready to adopt Slack as a means of communication. So that leaves the city without a communication network that we thought we could get out of Slack.
We didn't
Well-
even try the city.
I don't think that there's any, it costs the city anything to just use Slack. I mean, if you want to abandon it altogether, that's fine, but I mean, I've been clicking on Slack to get the agendas, to find out what's happening, and, I mean, I can go there, and I know more
I do
than
the
this
same
too.
thing, I get the agendas through Nina's listserv or whatever. you call
Unfortunately,
it.
there's no way to tell who's
Is the
on it.
city on Slack?
Yeah.
Where?
We
City
have
of
it as a
Bisbee.
city
I
page.
post on the City of Bisbee page.
I didn't know, and I have Slack right here, and I had no
It's
idea.
there. It's there.
Yeah, City of Bisbee.
Yeah, I've been doing it for about, I think about almost a month and a half.
Yeah, and road closures and. all
Somebody
kinds of
should have
stuff.
posted on Slack on the merchant page that we were
Rob,
doing that.
Rob, do you feel that we touched as many merchants as we could?
Well, you know, and I use this on my own business as well, and I found the same hesitancy to get on because a lot of the kids don't understand it, don't really quite know why they need to be there. So what we started doing in our company is all notifications that are relevant to the employee handbook, so food policies and Proposition 206 and et cetera, it's all legal to put all of this on the Slack. Their inability to use it is not really the business's fault. It's a very clear, very concise way of communicating with people. So since we've started using it that way, we've gotten almost a 90% adoption rate. So in just in our own experience, we find that when the information provided on Slack is so valuable that people can only find the information there, then that's where they go. But that's just business. I mean, we're a dictatorship.
Do we try communicating with the merchants on the Facebook pages that Slack was available and that type of thing? Do we reach out to some of the social media that they may be more?
Well, there's a couple of pages I'm not familiar with. I go to Old Bisbee Merchants a lot, but apparently there's a couple of other pages that are closed groups.
There are, and I use Old Bisbee Merchants, I
Yeah.
figured.
Did we put out an old Bisbee merchants about Slack? Did we?
I don't know if we did or not. I don't think we did. It'd be a nice place to put it. I mean, we had some instances where there was some shoplifting. And I think the ability to get information out on Slack is a lot faster than Facebook, a lot quicker. And we've been using Slack, like I said, all the kids that used to have these texting groups have all gone to Slack. So now they have their own private text groups in Slack. But still, the managers and owners don't have access to, which is fine. But it's still the main method of communication. So, I mean, as much as I'd like to say the beta test is done, because I hate coming here every week and saying, I don't know why people aren't getting on it. But the truth is, it's just one of those things that might be a little before its time. Because, you know, the company just went public. It's going to be a huge, huge company. My son just got back from Seattle. His company uses it exclusively. He's an IT company. But they've got over 750 people on their Slack.
I have a fraternity brother whose grandson there's an intern this summer.
Yeah.
And he's in Purdue, and it's Slack as an intern.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest something. Why don't we try putting something on the Bisbee merchant site?
There's not that many people on that, there's maybe 50 people.
Well,
So it's not
57
everybody.
Well, that's more than what, 13 on Slack?
You could advertise on Bisbee merchants. Just see if there's anybody interested. If
Yeah.
anybody sends us their email, we can add them.
Because I know you were talking about going and talking to all the merchants, but doing that is a time thing. I was going to try to do that with the Arts and Culture District logo. And I just don't have the time
Sure.
to go to everybody and talk about it. And just sending something out on Facebook is sort of like, well, you might have one or two people respond. It's not effective, I don't think, in getting people involved. Maybe getting them informed about who's complaining about what, but not getting involved, really.
I think the city being involved has been great. It has solicited a couple of ideas on Bisbee lodging. We talked about, I asked anyone using Booking.com with success. I got 2 people.
Guys.
Oh, thank you. I have no idea.
Rob?
Yes, sir.
So I think what you're saying is unless there's a critical issue, it's going to be tough to get the merchants to respond.
Yeah, I guess I've tried to be as creative as possible. Now it's time to just
Okay.
solicit more help.
That's why we have a beta test. That's why it's called a test. And we got our answer.
It's
And
hard in this town.
Morgan is frustrated too, because Morgan and I talk every day on Slack.
We have a lot of merchants with flip phones.
I know.
mean, you know, it's hard.
I know.
I'm going to move on to item 6. I frankly thought we would have a robust meeting tonight, but I see where we are. And that's a roundtable discussion of current events by members. What's going on in our business community?
Business has been robust. June was the best June on record. I'd like to thank the special events at Pride. Best Pride we've had ever.
Because you participated.
It blew stair climb out of the water. And in fact, it made stair climb look like
Like an everyday event.
Every weekend. And it was fun. It was fun. So, and then we've got Pirates coming up on the 8th, 9th, and 10th, which is going to be really fun. I think there's some focus on kids this year. So we're excited about that. We've supported that. And yeah, Booking.com works, in case anybody's wondering. That's all we got.
Carrie, are the lights in yet at the museum?
Almost.
Looks great.
We've had problems with the Canadian company. They sent the wrong bolt things, then they did not send some other pieces, and now that the lights are up, of the 8 lights, 1 is not working. But we're getting there. We're going to try the first test tonight, maybe, if it doesn't rain. But it will be some time before we get that 1 light replaced. It's apparently communicating with the companies are very, very difficult. But it's going up, and I'm really proud that we have a local contractor, and this is kind of his first really big project. And I think he's doing just a wonderful job, in between stress outs.
Is that Tom?
Denise, how's the real estate market in town?
It's very slow. I mean, still a seller's market, so if you're selling, it's good. No rentals, like Kathy was talking about. People want to rent long-term, and when I pull it up for people at the kiosk, there may be one or none, or maybe two in the same building, but
I do hear that one too.
yeah, there's just no, like, if people want to come here and rent for a year or 2 years,
There's no rentals.
none. That's the bad part.
Throughout the whole community?
Yeah, all of Bisbee, all of
Warren,
Bisbee,
San Jose?
all of it, which is quite surprising, isn't it? Unless they're advertising not through the MLS. So there could be some that are advertising themselves on Craigslist that, you know, I don't know.
Does Bisbee Realty go through the MLS?
Mhm.
They do, okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's the main
Oh, yeah,
person
all the
here
real
for
estate,
rent.
yeah, all the companies do, yeah,
Yeah,
and, yeah, all the
because most
companies-
agents don't do rentals.
No, they don't
Very
manage
few
them,
do,
but they
yeah.
can list them, but they don't manage them.
So it's a seller's market though,
Still,
all over, all three wards?
yeah.
How about commercial?
There's a lot
A
of.
lot of commercial, it's just slow moving. I finally sold Rev's Cafe.
I saw that.
Yeah, and then another commercial building in Benson. So Benson, we're moving things, but here, it's still, I know, there's a lot of commercial buildings for sale here.
That's
The,
where it was on the market.
the American Legion is sold,
Oh,
Yeah.
and the man buying it is came from Chicago. He's
Good
a
people.
contractor, lives in Tucson. I met with him and his investors this last Saturday. His idea is he's going to take the top floor, the 3,200 square feet up there, make it into 2 luxury apartments. He's going to occupy one, rent the other, and then the bottom floor is going to be a bar and restaurant, catering to military and public safety. By catering, I'm talking about memorabilia, military and public safety and stuff like that, which is fairly popular in most locations, and certainly will be popular with the Fourth of July.
It's also within the American Legion building.
And it's
That's
within the
true.
American Legion.
Right.
And so, anyway, he seems like the real deal. And like I said, I met an investor from Canada and from Florida, and they're scattered all over. So I think there's 4 of them. So he's been working with the city already. He's working with Joe Ward, getting all things lined up. He wants to move the front of the building back, create sidewalk seating, which is his sidewalk there.
This,
It's a little one.
Raised sidewalks.
Very
Right.
little.
And of course, but he's working up front with everybody to sprinkle the building. I believe in fire safety is a big thing with him, and so, I mean, he's worked with Arizona Water to make sure that the engineers make sure the lines. And so his due diligence is going on, but it's supposed to close in September.
awesome.
So that, I think, is good news, and certainly,
Yeah, it's a start.
we're happy
And you'll
with
get a
that.
rental.
Yes.
except they'll be too expensive for locals.
Well, yeah, well, that's other things, yeah. If it's over 600.
And if I could, this Thursday, you guys kind of started this by having that meeting that you asked me to speak at and meet the mayor. So as a result, finally, this Thursday, the Hispanic Chamber will be here. They're going to be having a mixer and kind of like inviting people to join at Roca at 5:30 this Thursday.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
That's
And you need
tomorrow.
to sign up.
It just happened overnight.
Oh, wow.
And they have, I think, the city is a member, and I think that they have 35 members at this point,
I thought it was 6.
and, or 35 committed, whatever. And in any event, we're hoping that this is a conduit that all of the individual groups downtown can continue as their groups, which they're doing very, very well, but that we can have some kind of an agency there that can help promote Bisbee. And being with the city, I certainly am for that, because a lot of what people expect the city to be doing is actually the job of chambers of commerce.
I have on my calendar that it's from 6 to 7. Maybe very special people go at 5:30.
No.
I think it was, I can't find mine, but
The secret booty.
I wasn't planning on
It's really neat.
Okay. Are there any other comments on current events in the city? We're good? I think, Rob, we're delighted that business is so good.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
I hope it's good for everybody. I think a lot of the other restaurants I've talked to said they're doing very well too, so.
Good,
I have 5:30.
good. Then I want to move on. Discussion of future business items. What I'd like to do is revisit the marketing strategy once we have the marketeer who was selected, and then proceed there. But I'm also wondering if we can't move to more quarterly meetings of the committee. As I look at it, we are beginning to focus more and more on tourism. I was hopeful that we would have a more robust meeting today, but we, obviously, and I understand the situation clearly. But I'd like to suggest that at our next meeting, that we again discuss the marketing strategy for the city. Would that be something that the committee would be interested in discussing?
Well, I don't think we got anywhere beyond let's collect information.
Yeah, we really learned a little bit about the budget, and that was about it.
Well, the strategy will have a lot to do with if we sign up a marketing person. Like, we could have heard what their idea was.
Right, but that would have been unfair to them.
Right, I agree. I'm just saying, once the city gets somebody signed up,
Then I think we would meet with that person
yeah.
and discuss their marketing
The
ideas.
timeline is, Nina, do you know if it went on today?
She was working on it before she left. I think it did, but I could be
So
wrong.
then we have 15
I
days.
asked for it to be put on today, if possible, and we have to advertise for 15 days. And then we can actually fill the position. And so that position should come to us the first
First of
Tuesday
August.
in August.
August 6th.
August 5th?
6th, I think it is.
6th, August 6th, should come to us. And so somebody should be in place next month. But certainly if you're going to do quarterly, they'll be in place.
Then let's do this, let's wait until that selection's made, and then we'll figure out if we want to have a meeting or we want to go to quarterly meetings.
Well, if the decision's already been made, there's no sense having a meeting.
Oh, if the decision's made who the marketeer is?
And to go this route of hiring a manager and a marketing, which position went out? Contract position or the
I think both.
staff position? 'Cause that's what.
Well,
you know,
no,
we
the
tweak staff
contract position's an RFP.
Okay,
We advertised for the marketing director,
Manager.
for the manager.
That just went out today.
That's today, and the other is an RFP, which we are still, the last I knew, this morning, we're checking to make sure that it's not a sole source situation. If it goes sole source, then we don't issue an RFP, we can just hire.
Yeah, I was hoping that we could have more ideas about the management position, manager's position,
Mhm.
before it was set in stone.
Yeah, because
You
that
bet.
job description's 10 years, 20 years old.
It's the one you made.
No, we didn't do the
No, we
manager.
didn't do it.
We did the director.
Oh, I'd see the manager, no,
The manager job description is a clerical position with no
that's
computer
correct,
requirement.
that's what
But
the
they
pay
need
is.
to be able to do computer data entry, et cetera, and I don't even think that's in there,
And I think we need to discuss having the two visitor centers
combined.
and combining that into one.
Mhm. And that would change staffing a little
Well-
bit, because you already have Brenda
And
there.
that's fine, and that's something that you should bring up in about 6 months. when the-
Yeah, exactly.
when the budget
After we've
comes.
staffed-
Exactly.
Because having it at the mine tour doesn't work, I'm
Well,
sorry.
Okay.
You're off the top.
Guys, hang on. One of our future agenda items will be discussing the visitor center, but that's probably about 6 months away. We have a new city manager coming on board. She's gonna have to understand the city and do those things. And then we approach regarding movement of the visitor center to downtown and go through that. But I think we have to give the new city manager a chance to get her feet wet. Okay, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. All of my customers are ending up at David
Hold on one
Russell's
second, one
place.
second.
They did that.